What's up, you guys? Stoopzz back again with another video. And as I promised in my last video, and as many of you requested, I am releasing a Mistweaver 8.0 WoW BFA pre-patch Mistweaver guide. A lot of you in my comments and a lot of you in my stream have been asking me, Stoopzz, can you make a pre-patch Mistweaver guide? And of course, I have no problem doing that. I've been enjoying the Mistweaver quite a bit. If you were wondering, Mistweavers are very, very strong right now. I kind of always predict this. Mistweaver does really well when the healing output is great, but once they nerf it, they kind of fall off. But that is a video for a different day. However, this video is going to be quite small. I'm going to try and condense everything and go through it rather quickly. Mistweaver hasn't changed that much, and I do not want to spend too much time on a guide that will be replaced in a couple weeks once we get our Azeroth armor and then the expansion drops and we get our max level characters and stuff like that. With that being said, though, I still will cover everything that I think is important. I think there's some key talent changes that are very important to note. And on top of that, it's important to note that the most important thing that you can do right now is just get playtime in. Yes, this guide is going to help you. Arguably, this is probably the only... I mean, there's probably other ones out there, but there's not much WoW Mistweaver content on YouTube right now. So this guide should get you going. But I can't stress how important just playtime is. So I will cover everything, but just hop on the class, get some arenas in, feel the difference between Mistweaver and BFA or in the pre-patch when compared to Legion, and you'll do just fine. Now, just like all of my guides in the past, we will go over our general talents. I'll hop into our PvP talents, and then I will also go over some tips and tricks that you guys can use when trying to adapt to the new Mistweaver playstyle. So going into our general talents first, I want to stress that this is just my build. This is the build that I prefer to play. This is the build that I enjoy to play. This is not the best build overall. It's the one that I found the most fun, the one I enjoy the most. To be honest, you guys, I've won a ton of games playing this build. A lot of people are going to experiment with different things. There are some better talent options that I will tell you what those are, but I still prefer to play, you know, some talents over other ones because it's more fun. It's the pre-patch. I think in BFA it's going to be much different, but just keep that in mind as I go through these, and I will inform you all of the options that you guys can choose if you do not like my talent options. Now, going to the level 15 bracket, we have Mist Wrap, Chi Wave, and Chi Burst. Honestly, if you're playing Wave the Crane, you might opt into Chi Burst. I've tried it out. It's good with all of the rogues out there right now. When they use their Smoke Bomb ability, you can pop your Crane, you can throw a Chi Burst in there. It's just for fun. Mist Wrap is not what it used to be, and I don't think it's mandatory at all because your enveloping mist is nowhere near as powerful as it used to be when compared to surging mist. It also wastes a lot of mana, and on top of that, you can't move while channeling soothing mist anymore. So Mist Wrap has lost a lot of value there. So any of these options are viable. For me, it's between Mist Wrap and Chi Burst depending on your playstyle, but they're both valid options. Now, going into level 30, I still go with Chi Torpedo. It hasn't changed much. I still enjoy the ability. It's great for mobility. It's great to set up CC. It's great to get away. And I don't think there's a better option except versus Tiger's Lust for certain comps, but I still find that Chi Torpedo is the way to go. Now, for level 45, we have Manatee and Life Cycles. Life Cycles is trash. A lot of people were hyping up Life Cycles when we didn't have the buff on Surging Mist. When Surging Mist got buffed during the beta, it ended up being so much more powerful than Vivify, which replaced our F usability. If you're unfamiliar there, Life Cycles, you can rotate an Enveloping Mist and then a Vivify, but you don't even use these spells like ever, whereas Manatee gives you so much more value for all of your spells. If you want to couple your Manatee with Wave the Crane, you'll save 50% of your mana there, which is very, very important. You can use it for revival or just during times where you are running low on mana. However, mana right now in the pre-patch isn't that much of an issue for a Mistweaver unless you are playing Wave the Crane, so keep that in mind. But again, I like Manatee. I think Life Cycles is trash. I don't think I'll even spec into it at level 120, and I think Manatee is just an overall better option. Now, for level 60, all of these options are viable. I play Tiger Tail Sweep sometimes in 2v2s, like when I'm playing with an Unholy DK. Sometimes me putting to sleep the healer isn't very important because it's a Necrotic Strike and we're just doing so much damage, and I do play Wave the Crane in 2s, and I think having a shorter stun, which kind of returns our stun back to what it was in Legion. It gives us a larger range, and it lowers the cooldown, I believe, to 50 seconds, which isn't quite the same as it was in Legion, and it does feel kind of bad speccing into something that brings back an old ability. However, it's still good in 2v2s. I prefer it in 2s. Song of Chi-Ji, still great in 2s and 3s, and Ring of Peace. Baseline, you'll probably go into Song of Chi-Ji. If you're doing 2s and you realize that you need more stuns, then you can go into Tiger Tail Sweep. And then on maps like Blade's Edge, Ring of Peace is still very, very good. Also, for rogue teams, a lot of rogues are running Smoke Bomb, where they put them that cloud that you can't cast into unless you're inside of it. I like Ring of Peace for Smoke Bombs. When they activate their Smoke Bomb ability, I'll drop a ring right on top of it. It knocks everyone out, and you might be able to save like a trinket or something very important during that time frame. So Ring of Peace is good in a lot of scenarios. I think baseline Song of Chi-Ji, and then experiment out with Tiger Tail Sweep if you feel like you need more stuns. Now for level 75, a lot of people have been saying Healing Elixir is bad, whereas Damage Harm might be better. However, Damage Harm is still a 2-minute cooldown, and you can't use it while stunned. So if you're unfamiliar, Healing Elixir is the same as it was in Legion. However, the only important change is that it doesn't activate when you fall below 35% health, which is how it was in Legion. So if you did get like stun locked, or you got locked down and you were getting bursted on, it would proc when you're about to die to save your life. You can no longer use Healing Elixir, or it will not automatically activate when you fall below a certain HP point. You also can't use it while you're silenced. So it has lost a lot of value there, but still, I still think that it's still much better than a 2-minute cooldown, which is still good. You can experiment with all these options. I'm not saying that Diffuse Magic is bad or Damage Harm is bad, but I still prefer Healing Elixir, because if I'm low and I'm in a position where I don't want to cast, I don't want to get locked out, I can just double tap my Healing Elixir, save some mana, get myself up 30% of my maximum health, and I don't have to cast anything. It's still free to use, and it has a low recharge time versus a 2-minute cooldown that I still can't use when I'm stunned. So I just feel like the value of Healing Elixir is still better than these other two, but I am sad about the nerf. Now for level 90, people like Chi-Ji. I still don't mess with Chi-Ji. For me personally, it's not as fun. I do not like having these long 3-minute cooldowns that only last for a certain amount of time, and that they can get like played around. You can play around it. I just don't like Chi-Ji. I still like Statue. I think Statue still heals for a good amount. Soothing Mist right now in the pre-patch heals for a lot. So just your Soothing Mist alone with the Statue heals for quite a bit. So I still prefer Statue. Obviously, it's not as good as it once was, because you can't move while channeling Soothing Mist, and you can get interrupted while channeling Soothing Mist. So I still prefer Statue. I know some players try Chi-Ji, so find out what works best for you and then go from there. Now for level 100, honestly, all these options kind of suck now. They completely changed Thunder Focus Tea. It used to do a bunch of things different than it does now. Before, it would buff your FUs, which you don't have anymore, and now they just added the Vivify one on there. So now if you use Vivify, it costs no mana, which was the same as it was in Legion. But before, you could buff your FUs by a lot. You can't do that anymore. It used to also make it so Enveloping would be an instant cast. You can't do that anymore. Instead, it just buffs your Enveloping heal. It extends your Renewing ability, your Renewing Mist duration by 10 seconds. That's also very nice, but the rest of them are just kind of mediocre. The only one that's really interesting there is that it reduces the cooldown on your Rising Sun kick by 9 seconds. And with Focus Thunder, you get 2 charges of that. So you can, you know, technically, you can almost like Rising Sun kick 3 times back to back to back, which is very powerful for damage. And it's also good with Way of the Crane. Rising Mist is also very interesting. For me personally, I still play Rising Mist. I like extending my HOTS. I like the burst healing that I see from it when I use my Rising Sun kick. It also extends Envelopings, which you don't use as much as you used to, but it's still a nice ability. It's up to you. It's your personal preference. If you like Focus Thunder and you think it works better with the flow of your class, then give it a shot. If you want to try out a more fun melee build, then Rising Mist might be for you. Now, I know I went through all of that very quickly, and I'm speaking fast, but I just want to make this video as short as possible. I don't want to drag the video out for a guide that's going to be, you know, replaced probably in at least a couple months. So going into our PvP talents now, we have Trinket. Always go Trinket in my opinion. Especially if you're an Orc now, Relentless doesn't stack. I love Trinket. Adept is like whatever. It might be good into like certain comps, but I still prefer having my Trinket as Gladiator's Medallion. Going into our next talent, I almost always play Surging Mist. This is the game changer. Surging Mist is absolutely broken. It heals for so much. I'll try and show some footage on the screen, but it literally takes like 1 global to get somebody to half HP, and that's why Enveloping has lost so much power when compared to Legion. In Legion, enveloping was your go-to heal, but it costed a lot of mana, whereas Surging Mist costs half the mana, and it does more than enveloping does in terms of just raw healing output. It's not a hot, so it doesn't sustain them. It doesn't keep them like topped or sustain their HP, but it costs very little mana and it will top somebody in 2 globals. And now with the GCD changes, it's not worth the global to use an enveloping if somebody is low HP. If they're low HP, you want to get the Surging Mist out there. The only time where I feel like it might be worth a global for enveloping is if you activate your Thunder Focus Tea and then you go into an enveloping mist. You'll get some burst healing out of that, and in that situation it's kind of useful. But outside of that, Surging Mist is so important. I think I almost always take it. The only time I don't take it is if I'm fighting a rock comp, then maybe I'll play Counteract Magic, you know, Healing Sphere, and maybe I'll also play like Wave the Crane for fun. But almost always just take Surging Mist. I feel like it's such an amazing talent that almost every player should take. Now going into our next PvP talent, we have Grapple Weapon. For me, I love this ability. With all the rogues that are going on right now, and all the other like just high damage melee classes, warriors, rep paladins, I might as well just say with all the rogues going on, all the assassination rogues going on, I love Grapple Weapon. Is it the best talent choice out of the rest of these? Probably not. You can opt for Zen Focus Tea, you can opt for a short Cocoon, which I hate speccing into Chrysalis now because of the change to Cocoon. In the past, Cocoon was a 3-minute cooldown, and they dropped it now down to a 2-minute cooldown, and this only drops 30 seconds off the ability. So for me, it's almost like speccing into Tiger Tail Sweep, where I'm getting a lesser version of the previous ability. Like Chrysalis was worth it in Legion because it drops 90 seconds on the cooldown of Cocoon. Now it's only 30, so I have a hard time like speccing into it because I feel like I don't get the same amount of value as I used to. But you could spec into that. For me, I love Grapple Weapon. I think every time you see a rogue and he lands that kidney shot, you can disarm him every kidney shot to prevent the smoke bomb. You can also disarm him on Vendetta. If a rep pops his wings or Executioner Sentence or all of his damage, you can disarm every go. You can also disarm Bloodlust. It's on a 30-yard range with a 1-minute cooldown, so it lines up so well. There's times where you get stuck now as Mistweaver. We lost our paralysis at a 15-second cooldown. Now it's at a 45-second cooldown, right? So at 45 seconds, you don't have too much to get somebody off of you if you are stuck in a certain scenario. There's times as a Mistweaver where you are out of mobility. It just happens. You mess up, you roll too many times, you ported at the wrong spot, whatever, and you can't just in-cap him and run away. Whereas now, with Grapple Weapon, you can disarm that melee DPS. So I like it. It gives me more utility as a Mistweaver player, so I enjoy playing it. It's my personal preference. If you don't want to spec into it, you can spec into Zen Focus Tea, you can spec into Chrysalis, you can spec into Eminence. Honestly, the rest of these really don't matter as long as you spec into Surging Mist. Now, the last one is completely optional, and it's completely playstyle based. Wave the Crane right now, it doesn't break you out of stuns anymore. It costs a ridiculous amount of mana, so you have to make sure if you are speccing into Wave the Crane, you are activating, I still forget, your Mana Tea, and then go into Wave the Crane to save some of the mana that it costs, because it does cost a lot of mana, and it will you. So you're probably wondering, why would you spec into Wave the Crane? If you can just sit back, spec into Zen Focus Tea, which by the way is now worth it, right? Because in the past, it was in the bracket for... we had Vim and Vigor, and we had Defender of the Week, so it was never worth taking Zen Focus Tea. But now that those abilities are gone, it's completely worth it to take Zen Focus Tea. If you want to top somebody, you're in a sticky situation, and you want to spam out your Surging Mist out, and you want to top your team, you can pop your Zen Focus Tea, and it gives you 5 seconds to completely top your team. So yes, why would you spec into one ability over the other? But for me, personally, Wave the Crane is just more fun. I would opt to choose between Wave the Crane or Zen Focus Tea because both of them can be used. Like, you can use one to prevent from being silenced, that being Zen Focus Tea. If you activate Zen Focus Tea, you can't get silenced. And if you are silenced, then you can use Wave the Crane. So they both get you out of those situations where you are locked out. Wave the Crane, again, costs a lot of mana. It doesn't break you out of stuns, but it's fun to use, and most importantly, it does an insane amount of damage. Your Rising Sun kicks, your Blackout kicks deal a lot of damage. I played Demon Hunter. I played it a lot last season. I tried it out this season. My Mistweaver Monk, I feel like I'm doing more damage than a Demon Hunter right now. So with Wave the Crane, you can end the game much faster. So even if you are ooming, just going into Wave of the Crane repetitively over and over off cooldown will put and add up a lot of pressure to the enemy team. So just keep that in mind. You can no longer Rising Sun Kick to reset Thunder Focus Tea to go into an instant enveloping. It works much differently than it did in the past. It's there for when you're about to get silenced, and it's there to help end the game with additional pressure. But honestly, it's probably not the best talent choice because it costs a lot of mana and you can just die running in there with Wave of the Crane. So something like this might look a little bit, you know, more realistic. Also, maybe getting rid of Grapple Weapon and going into like Counteract Magic, or going into, you know, Healing Spheres depending on the team that you're fighting. Also, I want to add that Dome of Mist is pretty much trash now because it only works when you dispel Enveloping Mist, which I feel like Enveloping Mist is just not what it used to be. Even at 120, I feel like Surging Mist is just so much more powerful than Enveloping Mist, so I don't recommend going into Dome of Mist right now, and I would opt for like a different talent choice. Now, just going on to the tips and tricks portion of the video, there's not much different to the Mistweaver. I know people are complaining the class is bad, or you can't move and cast. It's like, it wasn't always that way in previous expansions in the first place, and honestly, Mistweaver is really, really strong right now. So if you're complaining, I have to be honest, you're not playing it right. Yes, you can't move while channeling Soothing Mist, but you only need to get off a few Surging Mists to top your entire team. So just rely on your Renewing Mist. Make sure your statue's out. Make sure you have a good port. Do not waste rolls, like roll in there for no reason, because you don't have in cap on a short cooldown like you used to have it. It's on a 45-second cooldown, so you want to sit back and just kind of sit behind the pillar. When you need to, roll in for an in cap or a leg sweep, and then go into your Song of Chi-Ji if necessary. It is still okay to in cap to stop, you know, certain CCs like polymorphs or to get away, but things like Disarm, in my opinion, are a great way of just trying to like mitigate damage. In the past, you might have rolled in and double leg swept to prevent some damage. You might have in-capped and off DPS, whereas now you can just use your grapple weapon, and it kind of works the same way, and you can rotate your paralysis with your grapple weapon if necessary. As far as not getting kicked, I see a lot of Mistweavers that don't ever even fake cast. You need to fake cast now, whereas before in Legion, I used to always use my G600, my third mouse click, and I still use it now to like stop cast my Soothing Mist when I played Ancient Mistweaver Arts. But now that we have Soothing Mist baseline, if you haven't been practicing that method, you need to make sure that you're good at fake casting with Soothing Mist, like channeling it, stopping it, channeling it, stopping it, channeling it, stopping it. It's very, very important that you do that. The one thing that's changed when compared to Legion, and hopefully you're following me with this, if you don't, then just kind of rewind the video, there is a global cooldown on Soothing Mist, right? When I activate my Soothing Mist, it adds a timer onto the rest of my ability. So what I see a lot of Mistweavers do, whereas in the past, you could Soothing Mist and then Enveloping Mist, and it was instant. And then you could stop your cast, right? And a lot of the times you would fake like a Mage's counterspell or a Warlock's counterspell, because they would have to be sitting there and just like staring at you, or like staring at your cast bar to try and get you before you got your Enveloping off, because it was so fast. But now that there's a global, you need to make sure that you get the kick out of the way beforehand. So what you're going to do is, you're going to channel your Soothing Mist, but you're not going to spend the global on casting a heal. Just make sure your Renewing Mists are up. You know, you have 2 charges of them now, so you can spread them on to like, you know, one target into another. So make sure you have Renewing up to kind of stabilize or just help with some of the healing output. And then try and get the kick out of the way. You also have Zen Focus Tea, which you can use during situations where you absolutely need it and you need to get healing out. But if you do not need to get healing out and you feel like it's not that important, if I get locked out right now, let me get it out of the way. What you want to do is start the channel for Soothing Mist and then cancel it. Even though there's a global on Soothing Mist, it doesn't mean you can't cancel the spell immediately. So you want to make sure you have a stop cast key, or you can just, you know, strafe. You can move right away. I always like having a key for me. It's just how I've always played my Mistweaver. But you're going to channel the Soothing Mist, but right away as you channel it, stop. Channel it, stop. It doesn't matter if there's a GCD. You can still cancel it before the GCD even starts, or ends, I should say. So if you keep doing this for a little bit, you'll juke a kick, because they're going to try and get you. They're going to be too slow. It works like 80% of the time. You'll juke most kicks. I've done it to all levels of players. It doesn't matter on the rating. It's just too hard to predict if I'm actually healing or if I'm trying to fake cast you. And if you don't kick me and I get a heal off, then you lose. So it's just, an easy way to fake cast with the Mistweaver with the new build for Soothing Mist. But overall, that's just my thoughts on the class right now. If you're interested in playing, RBGs, the talents are pretty much the same. You just want to spec into counteract magic. The class is very, very strong right now, you guys. I highly recommend picking up the Mistweaver. Going into BFA, I expect the class to be very strong like it always is. But the problem is we're just healing based. We do not have a lot of the utility that other healers have. We don't have any damage reduction. I guess disarm kind of counts now. We lost our stun immunity with Way of the Crane. So if our healing gets nerfed, I expect Mistweaver to drop in the rankings dramatically. But overall, it's the same boat we're always in. If you like the playstyle, pick it up. It's a great class for a lot of new beginning healers as well as experienced healers. But that's going to do it for this video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. If you have any more questions about the Mistweaver, anything related, you can leave those in the comment section below. Try not to miss me on my Twitch live stream where I answer all of your guys' questions in depth. And I'll see you guys next time.